Hello, everybody. It is the Naughty Investor here, coming at you with a special presentation. I am with Jake from TrendSpider, and he's going to be going over a couple really awesome features on the software. We're going to be doing a live stream next week. We're going to be doing it on Monday, going more in depth with the platform, how to start doing technical analysis, how to start trading, and yeah, doing a lot of interesting things with that. So with that intro, I will hand it to Jake, and he could start showing you how to use the platform.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for listening in. As the Naughty Investor said, we will be doing a live stream next week, but really wanted to focus on this video, kind of highlighting a couple features that we'll be focusing on next week, going over some charts. What you have here is just a raindrop chart of Bitcoin. And a raindrop chart is something that's very unique to TrendSpider. It is definitely not the only feature that makes TrendSpider unique. There are a ton of features. All of them are at the top here, and I'll probably be going into more of those next week during the live stream. But for this particular video, just to show you guys a little taste of what TrendSpider is, we're going to be going over an example of the raindrop, what it is, and how to back test it in our back tester. So first off, we'll go over, what is a raindrop? So a raindrop is a volume weighted candle. Instead of a bar chart, like your typical bar chart having an open and a close, you can see part of this raindrop right here is like a bar chart, right? You've got your first bar over here, second bar over here, and then you've got your range for the day. Instead of this being an open and instead of this bar being a close, this is the volume weighted average price for the first half of the period you're looking at, whether that's the day or the 2-hour candle, whatever you're looking at. And then this side is the second half of the day, and this is the volume weighted average price for that. Now, each side has the volume profile painted on it. So you can see, with this being the top of the range, this being the bottom, you can see that there was a volume profile area near the bottom of the range for the first half of the period. And then during the second half of the period, you can see how that volume moved up the range and actually created new highs. And we know that because there's no volume profile on the left. We know that all that volume came in during the second half of the period and buyers were in control. So a raindrop is really there to show, where that volume is flowing throughout the particular time period that you're looking at. Quickly, the different colored raindrops are very similar to any other candle you're looking at. So for a bar chart, whenever this side is higher than this side, meaning the right is higher than the left, you're going to have a green raindrop. So whenever that VWAP is higher on the second half of the period, that's when it's green. When the VWAP for the first and the second half of the period equal each other, that's when it's going to be blue. And the blue raindrop has a lot of different functionality. You can anchor a VWAP from that area. You can test volatility coming within a specific area, and we'll show that on the back tester. And then the bearish raindrop is when you have the opposite of a bullish. So when the VWAP for the second half of the period is lower than the first, and you can see how that volume is flowing throughout the period into the lower range of the day, creating new lows on the right side. So this is a raindrop and how you can kind of dissect it. What I want to do is go over the recent breakdown here of what I would call kind of this, descending triangle, if you will. And what we have here is just this general kind of trend that tried to break out, but then continued to kind of move down after this slight false breakout. And what we can see here for the day on the Bitcoin chart for Coinbase pricing, at least, you can see during the second half of the period, all of this volume is really focused near the bottom here. So, was this just a lot of stop losses being triggered and all of that volume is really focused at the bottom of the range, showing that sellers are really in control? It's hard to tell what this is. Is this somebody accumulating a bunch of shares after stop losses were triggered on low volume? There's a lot of ways to look at this. And so we'll be going over a couple different examples of how to utilize raindrops and both looking for volatility with the blue raindrops or looking for how the volume is flowing throughout resistance or support around either a diagonal trend line, a horizontal trend line, even a moving average. So what I'm going to do here is back test a blue raindrop. And what's interesting about a blue raindrop is, one, it doesn't happen very often on the Bitcoin chart. especially since the trend started to reverse to the upside back in early 2019. And so if we go and test this out, what we're doing is we're testing just what's on the chart, which is about 300 candles. And then we're going to test a blue doji, which is what we call blue raindrop. And we're going to look at what the return is on average over 25 candles. So that's saying when a blue raindrop forms, what is the return after 25 candles on average? When we test that out, you can see here that essentially when we go to see on the chart, you can see every time a blue raindrop is formed and what the exit was after that blue raindrop formed after 25 candles. So in this case, after 7 positions were analyzed over 10 months of data, which is about 300 candles, the mean trade return is 18.28%. And a reason for that is because of all the big moves to the upside when we were moving up. And you can see every time we started a new leg to the upside, a blue raindrop formed a few days before that. And so what's interesting to see is now that we're in a downtrend, notice how these blue raindrops form a few days before the next leg down. And so what's interesting is we formed a blue raindrop. After about 20 days, we moved down about 20%. We formed 2 blue raindrops here in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And now we're starting the next leg down here. And so what I've done here is I have the price explorer on the chart. And that means that over 20 days of information from these 7 positions, we can gather a few different metrics here. So you can see, let's say that you're watching the Weather Channel. I'm a big weather nerd. If you're watching, let's say, a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean, you're looking at wait for it to show here. You're looking at kind of a path that the hurricane can take. This is kind of the path that the price can take based on whatever conditions you're looking at. So essentially, let's say this is the blue raindrop on the hurricane map. Let's say this is a blue raindrop. This is all of the different ways that the raindrop can move based on the past. So in this case, we've got this gray cloud, and this gray cloud represents the biggest move to the upside and then the biggest move to the downside. So you can see with our current price action, we're actually performing the strongest to the downside out of these 7 positions that were analyzed. How do we know that? Because this price action is now outside the min cloud here, meaning that we're moving down faster than we did in the biggest move to the downside over these last 7 positions. So on top of that, you can see what the 25th and 75th percentile is. So you can see how, recently we were trading right at the bottom of the 25th percentile, trading near the bottom of all of these returns. And now that we're in a downtrend, this is pretty natural for this move to be a biggest performer to the downside, because over these positions that we tested and the back test started here, all of these previous moves were to the upside. So now that we're moving to the downside, it's kind of expected to see that this downtrend move is kind of near the bottom of the moves for these previous ones. So this is a way to visualize a back test. You can do this with anything, right? If you want to look at the MACD cross, if you want to look at the MACD crossing up and the RSI breaking through 50, whatever condition you can come up with, you can then test it, and then you can see it visually on the chart and see how the most recent entry point or the most recent condition that became true is acting relative to the past data. So there's a lot of information you can gather with TrendSpider, not from just the statistical side, but also the ability to draw your own fibs, draw your own trends without having to do anything. You just turn on the trends button, and then all of a sudden these trends will appear. So without me having to do anything, you can see that the system has already kind of caught this falling wedge here, and it now makes sense why this price action is catching a bid right near where we kind of are right now. So there's a ton of ways to use it. I'm looking forward to showing you guys more next week on the live stream, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a live stream on Monday for those of you who want to tune in. We're going to go more in depth with the product. show a lot more of the features, and I think it's going to be really informative, and I think a lot of people could learn a lot from it. If you do want to purchase TrendSpider, I will have a link in the description and the comment section for those of you who do want to purchase the product. And for those of you who want to tune in to the live stream, just set a reminder for yourself for Monday around 8 o'clock. And we will be live streaming on YouTube. And for those of you who follow me on BitChute, it will be mirrored to there probably within 24 hours after that. But hope this video was helpful for all of you. I hope you all have a really great day. Keep on hodling and enjoy your week.